Hello everyone, today is 2nd of August. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper and the good articles from the Indian Express Explained section also we will be taking up. Guys, meanwhile, if you like our initiative, please do spread our initiative. Please do hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Now let's take the overview of the articles that we are going to take. So guys, this is the explained, and into the explained we will see that what this e-rupee initiative, and guys, it is actually a very good reform that is coming. So we will see that what has happened. Then guys, coming on to the Hindu newspaper, so this is the page number 1. Now this particular article talks about the Assam Mizoram, that now the states have decided that they will ease the border tension. Now into the article nothing is there, and but guys, this Assam Mizoram boundary dispute we have discussed much elaborately onto the 28th July newspaper analysis. So into this article is nothing much, but if you want to see, you can see 28th July Assam Mizoram dispute. Then guys, the GST rising numbers have been talked about, rising number of COVID cases, nothing important into this page, you can entirely skip it. Then guys, the city page also talking about rising number of cases, etc., regional issues, however nothing important is there. Guys, moving on, here we can see that the Lakshadweep beach villa plan has been talked about. So guys, we will see the Niti Aayog's report, what it was and what is happening and how it might be unsustainable step that is being taken by the government. Other things are not very much important. This is the editorial page, and this particular article is talking about the draw between the space and nuclear technologies. There are some of the dimensions which have been talked about with respect to the nuclear technologies. We'll discuss it. Then guys, this article talking that why government needs to urgently intervene into the Indian economy. Very good article, very good insights have been given. We will see it. Then guys, this particular article talks about the all India quota that government has recently taken up. Then guys, this article is talking about that why that still India has not won a gold medal into the Olympics. However guys, this particular thing will change the moment and more medals will be coming for India. Then guys, this article talks about biggest is a blemish on democracy. So guys, this particular article is having a kind of a highly critical tone. However, the substance with respect to the UPSC is not largely there. A kind of a not relevant article, you can skip it. Then guys, today is Monday, so this is the from the reader's editor article comes. It just talks that what needs to be there into the good journal. Nothing very much important, you can completely skip it. Then guys, this article talks about the benefits of breastfeeding, a very good article we will see with respect to the social justice. Then guys, further moving on, here we can see that the integrated theatre command, a joint exercise has been held. Why it is important, what has happened, we will see this thing. Then guys, this article talks about the establishment of a hotline between the India and China. We'll see. Then guys, the other articles are not that much important. Moving to the next page, so here guys, we can see that India is taking up the UNSC presidency. So what are the things that India will be focusing on, we will see it. Then guys, with respect to the section 66A, the responsibility of the state also needs to be fixed up, we will see. Then guys, the other political news are not very much important. Then moving to the next page, here guys, we can see that with respect to the Ashwagandha clinical trials will be held into the UK. However, nothing important with respect to the UPSC. Then guys, this particular article is talking about the Punjab paddy farmers. They are taking up to the direct seeding of rice techniques. Now guys, the direct seeding of rice is different from the traditional rice method where the transplantations are raised into the nursery and those transplantations or those saplings, they are sowed into the ground. Into the direct seeding of rice, directly the rice is sown onto the ground without raising into the nursery. Now guys, it has actually it gives more of a produce. Moreover, it gets mature into the less time also. So this direct seeding of rice is being taken up. Then guys, the other things, UP on top in terms of law and order, says Shah, nothing important into this article. Then guys, onto the world page, we can see that the Myanmar Junta ruler takes as the PM. We'll see that what has happened here. Then guys, the details are very much evolving. Then on to the today, as there is a Monday, there is no business page, rather there is the money wise which contains investment, etc. Nothing important has been there. So guys, that is all about the today's newspaper analysis, and now let's discuss these articles one by one. Now friends, starting up with the today's GS quote. So today we will be taking a quote from Justice A.K. Sikri, the former judge at the Supreme Court. He had defined the role of technology into the present times. He says, education took us from thumb impression to signature. However, technology has taken us from signature to thumb impression again. Now guys, this particular quote puts us into a kind of a thought that whether the technology is empowering us, is leading us towards the advancement, or the technology is making us handicap, is making us more backward. Because guys, today we see the generation of technology dependence where the intellectualism is going down. However, the vague awareness and illusion over the things is growing up. So guys, we can utilize this particular understanding into the GS paper number 3, where the technology and critical aspects of the technology have been talked about, as well as into the essays onto the role of technology. We can utilize this particular dimension. So guys, that is all about the GS quote, and now let's discuss the newspaper articles one by one. Now friends, taking up the first article. So this article has been taken up from the Indian Express explained section, as well as in many other newspapers also it has been carried, and it is talking about the e-rupee which will be announced today by the Prime Minister. Now guys, it will be important under the GS paper number 3, the topics related to the Indian economy. Now guys, this e-rupee, it can simply be defined as electronic voucher based digital payment system. We will be seeing what it will be, what its working will be. But guys, it has been first of all developed by many of the agencies in a collaboration, and the agencies are, first of all, there is the National Payment Corporation of India, NPCI, which had also developed the UPI, and into the Rupee card, the Rupee gateway has also been developed by the NPCI. Then guys, there is the Department of Financial Services, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the National Health Authority. All of these agencies in collaboration has developed this e-rupee. Now guys, first of all, let's see the definition of this e-rupee. So it has been provided by the government that it will be a cashless and contactless digital payment medium which will be delivered to the mobile phones of the beneficiaries in form of an SMS string, a kind of a code will be there, or into a form of a QR code. And guys, it will be essentially like a prepaid gift voucher that could be redeemed for a specific purpose. Now, what it is, let's understand it into a even more simplified terms. Now guys, let's suppose that this is Mr. Ram, and Mr. Ram is the beneficiary of Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan. Now guys, you might be knowing that under the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, up to 5 lakh rupees of treatment for secondary and tertiary care could be availed, and it could even be availed into the private hospitals. Now guys, under the earlier system, you can go into the private hospital, could get treated, and into the back end, the government will be making the payment to the to the private hospitals. But actually it has been seen that the private hospital, they are not entertaining the beneficiaries of the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, because the government payment has been very much late, reimbursements have not been onto the time. So there are the problem, and citizens are not getting the benefit of the scheme. Now guys, what will be happening under the e-rupee initiative? So government will first of all be having the database that okay, these are the beneficiaries of the Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan, and their mobile numbers will also be seeded. Now guys, what can happen? The government can issue the e-rupee voucher to this Mr. Ram. Fine, it will be sent either as a QR code, or it will be sent as an SMS string onto the Mr. Ram's mobile phone. Now the Mr. Ram will take his mobile phone into, for example, a private hospital, will show this particular QR code or an SMS. They will scan this QR code or will use this particular SMS string and will give the treatment to the Mr. Ram. Now guys, why hospital will accept it? Because it is a prepaid instrument. The moment they will scan that QR code, the money will be reflected into the bank account of the hospital. Now this is one use here. So guys, here we can see that number one, Mr. Ram got the services onto the par of into a private hospital, onto the par what other citizens are getting when they actually pay. Secondly, the hospital also get the money into just a very efficient manner, so hospital will more be inclined to give the better services. Now guys, at the same time, there are many of the other entitlements that are being given to the citizens. For example, you are entitled that okay, under the government scheme you can avail some of the subsidized or free medicines. Now what you need to do, you will be given again a e-rupee voucher into your mobile phone. You will show that voucher to the to that particular shop where free medicine could be availed. They will scan it, fine, and you will be getting it. Now guys, what will happen here? Here the beneficiary identification will become very much effective. Earlier we have seen that many unintended beneficiaries, they have taken up the benefit, but now that particular thing will be plugged. So it has been provided here by the government that this e-rupee initiative is expected to ensure a leak-proof delivery of welfare schemes. Now it has been, guys, it can be redeemed at specific points only. Then the abuse or the misuse of this particular coupon will also not be there. Now, guys, when we see this particular type of initiatives, they have already been taken up into the USA. Now, what happens into the USA? The students, they are given a kind of a voucher. Now, this voucher is just like this particular e-rupee code. Now, they can go into the government schools, they can go into the universities, can show that particular voucher, and in return of that voucher, they can get the education. At the end of the day, the institutions will be getting the money when they will show back that voucher to the government. So, guys, this is the e-rupee initiative that has been taken up. Now, when we see, apart from the USA, the countries such as the Colombia, Chile, Sweden, Hong Kong, etc., these kind of initiatives are going on. Now, not only it will be helping into the proper delivery of the government's goods and services, but guys, it will also be a kind of a pilot project to see what are the shortcomings into the digital currency regime that the RBI might be bringing into the future. If you remember, guys, just a couple of days back, we have seen that Reserve Bank of India is planning its own digital currency onto the line of private virtual currencies which have been there. So how this particular thing will perform, onto that basis, we will understand that, okay, what new things or what loopholes are there which are to be plugged when digital currency will be announced. So, guys, this is all about this e-rupee initiative. I hope that you have understood it. Now, apart from the currency perspective, welfare perspective is also there. Please keep it into your mind. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the issues into the Lakshadweep where the development might be displaced and it might be having some of the environmental concerns. And this article will be important for our GS paper number 3 under the topic of environment, ecology, conservation. Even, guys, when we talk about the sustainable developmental goals, there also the development with sustainability has been talked about. Now, guys, what has happened? Into the Lakshadweep Islands, a kind of a developmental misstep is going on. Now, what has happened? The Lakshadweep administration, it has said that in 3 of the islands into the Lakshadweep, that is the island of Minicoy, Kadmat and Suheli, they are planning to develop the beach and lagoon villas. Now, guys, first of all, there is some background into this direction. See, just a couple of years back, Niti Aayog came out with the 3-year action agenda, within which it was said that the tourism could be a potential sector for India. However, in India, we have not explored the tourism. Now, within the tourism, there is a beach tourism which is earning much of a revenue to many of the countries. And, guys, even if we see the example of countries such as the Thailand, they are also much revenue they are earning because of the beach tourism. And in India, the beach tourism is developed in just few pockets, and particularly one major pocket is there, that is the Goa. So it was said that onto the east and west, particularly at the Goa and at Puri, we need to develop the beach tourism, and at the island also the beach tourism is to be developed. Now, under the line of that Niti Aayog's recommendation into the Lakshadweep, into these 3 islands, it is being said that the lagoon and the beaches, they will be developed. Villas, as you see into the Maldives, etc., they will be developed here. Now, onto this particular line, a kind of a backlash is there. It has been said that when we talk about these islands, the lagoon, they are the insurance sites, because number one, they are protecting the island as well as they are providing the fresh water supply to the island. And if you develop these lagoons with the villas, etc., these particular roles that are being played by the lagoon, it will not be there. Secondly, it has also been said that when we talk about the lagoon, they have the coral patches, and these are the temperature adapted coral patches, and they serve as a refugia for climate disturbed outer reefs into the Lakshadweep. And when the development will be there, these coral patches will also be declining, it might vanish. Then further, it has been provided that the planned construction that is going there into the lagoon, it will permanently modify and pollute the large areas as well as the entire ecosystem of the lagoon. Moreover, when we talk about the life of the people who are living there, it will also get disturbed, because the lagoon, the beaches, they are a kind of an intricate part of a life of the people into the Lakshadweep. Moreover, guys, it has also been provided that these beaches, they are the vital sites for the several species of turtle. Then, guys, it is also used as a site for the fish processing. Now, the population there, they are involved into the harvest of the fish and the processing. It is carried on to the beaches. Then guys, the copra processing, boat lending, fish sale markets are carried there. Then guys, for the recreation purpose and for other critical social functions also, these beaches have been used into a traditional sense, and now it will be lost when the development onto the beaches and the lagoon will be carried. Moreover, it has also been provided that guys, earlier it was said that more than 80% of the employment that will be generated here, it will be given to the native people. But now the draft which has been provided here, it has been said that as far as possible the employment will be given. 80% clause is missing into the developmental document. So guys, these are some of the concerns which are coming. So into this particular direction guys, it has been said that the development obviously needs to be there, the lifestyle of the people needs to be obviously enhanced, but it should not come at the cost of ecosystem as well as the fragile ecologies, as we can see it is there into the Lakshadweep. So that is all about this particular article guys. Please do utilize, it has large implications. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article, it has been taken up from the Hindu editorial section, and it is talking about the present state of Indian economy and how there are some of the challenges which are needed to be acknowledged as soon as possible by the government. Now it will be important for our GS paper number 3 under the topic of Indian economy and issues related to it. Now first of all guys, the premise of this article. See, right now guys, there is an entire wing of economists which are called as the right wing economists. They say that there is a self-correcting mechanism into an economy, and automatically the economy will come to a track. Government needs to needs not to interfere, needs not to bother much. Fine. It was said that when the Great Depression was there in 1929, automatically in a course of time, the economy came back. Now again the same thing will happen. But guys, it has been said that such kind of argument is fallacious on some of the accounts. Now we will see that why such kind of argument is fallacious. Number one guys, it has been provided that right now when we see the demand has been compromised. Now the demand was compromised into the 1929 crisis also, but guys, soon after that there was the war preparation that got started, and into this particular war preparation much of the demand was made, and because of that the demand came up and the economy came out. Now there is no such kind of war situation, so therefore the demand will not be coming up. Moreover guys, it has also been provided that particularly when we see this COVID-19, there have been people who have lost their jobs. The entire informal sector has been crushed, so that particular section will not be making the substantial demand into the times to come. Moreover guys, when we talk about the informal sector in India, more than 85% of the people are involved into the informal sector and they give much of the demand, but now as the crisis is there, the demand will not be coming, so therefore the demand is very much weak. Then guys, the next, it has been talked that with respect to the inflation, now inflation is very much high. Guys, when we talk about the inflation, it is because of some of the factors. Number one, there are the high commodity prices which are leading to the inflation. Then guys, there are the high asset price inflation, I will explain this. And then guys, there is the ultra loose monetary policy. Now understanding each one of them, guys, when we talk about the high commodity prices into the global international market, the commodity prices has been increased. If we take one example guys, just take the example of the crude oil. We have seen that the crude oil, it reached such high marks recently. Then guys, the high asset price inflation. Now see what has happened. Into the Western countries, there is the huge stimulus that is being given into their countries. Now because of this huge stimulus which is being given into those countries, the interest rates have come very much down. Now because of that thing, the investors which are there into that country, they are not getting much of returns into own country, so therefore they are coming into the Indian stock market. So guys, right now into the Indian stock market, a large foreign portfolio investment is coming. Because of this thing, what has happened, the stock market in India is performing very much good. If you know, this particular year 50,000 mark was breached by the stock market. Now guys, because of this thing, what has happened, the asset price inflation has happened. Earlier the share which was selling at 100 rupees, now it is selling at 150 rupees, because you know the stocks, they play on to the demand supply mechanism. When the demand will be more, the prices will automatically be going up. So guys, there is a asset price inflation inflation that has happened, it is actually benefiting the rich households or the upper middle class households, because they had invested a substantial part of their money into the stock market, etc. However, guys, when we talk about the masses into the India, as well as the lower middle classes into the India, they don't invest typically into the stock market. So therefore, guys, into the high asset price inflation, they have not got any benefit. Number one. Number two, only rich had got benefit here. And number three, guys, because of this overall stock price inflation that is there, there are some of the implications or impact that is coming onto the overall economy. Then next, it has been said that the ultra loose monetary policy is there. Guys, obviously, whenever there will be the crisis, a loose monetary policy will be followed by the government as well as by the central bank. Into the loose monetary policy, what they do, they reduce the rate of interest so that people borrow more, and by borrowing more, they could invest into the production, they could invest into the enhancement of their production facilities, etc. So this is the basic logic that goes. So the loose monetary policy is followed now, not only into the India, into the world it is being followed. So because of that, into the entire world there is the inflation. Then, guys, the next reason for the inflation is also the supply chain bottlenecks that have been created. Now see this thing. There were the lockdowns which have been initiated. Now earlier there was a national lockdown. This time there are the localized lockdowns. Because of these lockdowns, the supply has been restricted, supply chain has been restricted, and when, guys, the supply will be less and the demand is actually same, again the inflation will be increasing. So the inflation has increased here. And guys, now if we see, inflation is on to the rise, but people don't have money, they don't have income. So what will happening? The stagflation will be coming. Now for the 2 months consecutively, the Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Policy Committee had failed to keep the inflation below the 6% rate. Now RBI, it is claiming that this inflation is transitory in the nature, and into the longer tenure this inflation will not be the problem. But guys, we can see that inflation is going to stay here. Why? The reason is that Reserve Bank of India is continuously infusing massive liquidity into the system, particularly by the GSAP program. Now the GSAP program stands for Government Securities Acquisition Program. So by this, the huge liquidity is being infused. Now it might be problematic into the long term. Moreover, guys, as the inflation is there, much of the inflation is coming because of the high prices of the petrol and diesel, but government is not reducing the taxes onto that front also. So much needs to be done into this particular direction. Then it has been provided that the next issue is the interest rates. Now see, guys, into the earlier point we have already seen that the interest rates are very much low, because of which there is inflation. So there comes a kind of a natural logic that okay, then increase the interest rate. But guys, increasing the interest rate is also not very much easy, because right now there are many of the people who might borrow money, they might invest that borrowed money into enhancing their production capabilities, they might procure more raw material, they might hire more people. Fine, but the moment we'll increase the interest rate, this particular borrowing will reduce, and guys, the impetus which might come into the economy, it might also get lost. So therefore, increasing the interest rate is also not very much easy. So guys, we cannot keep the interest rate lower, we can't even increase the interest rate. So this is a kind of a problem that in which we have been struck. Then it has been provided that the non-performing asset is also becoming a problem. Now guys, see this particular thing. It has been provided that now the public sector banks, they are having large number of NPAs, and not these large number of NPAs are problematic, even more NPAs will be increasing. Guys, there is a Minsky moment. Fine, now what this Minsky moment is all about? So guys, it is a technical term. It has been said that there are 3 phases. Into the phase number 1, the banks give loan to banks are very much averse in giving the loan. They don't trust anybody and they don't give the loan. Then comes the phase number 2. Into the phase number 2, banks, they start to give loan to those people on which they trust, on which they believe that okay, they might pay back or they will be paying back into the future into the assured way. And then there comes the third moment. Now guys, the third phase is one where there is a kind of a huge growth into economy, there is a kind of a huge rush into the economy, the asset prices are going up, the profitability is very much high, and here the banks go into the reckless funding. They give huge and huge loans, and guys, at this particular time, even the loans are given to them who don't have the capability to pay back, and here the defaults start to happen. Now guys, what has happened? We are at the third phase of the Minsky moment, where now the default are going to start, because guys, the MSMEs, they are into the huge burden. Earlier these MSMEs were given the loan because particularly before the pandemic era they were doing good, but now guys, there is no profitability into the MSMEs, and now the MSMEs are going to default. So this is the third phase of Minsky moment that our bankings are going to enter. Already the NPAs are high, even more NPAs will now be there. So guys, government needs to come out with a recapitalization, but there is no recapitalization. Moreover guys, the MSMEs might not have defaulted if government would have provided a direct stimulus to the MSMEs. That has also not happened. Rather, government is talking about the long-term loans, etc., which are not helping the MSMEs. So guys, because now we have seen that these are the four factors because of which guys, now the government intervention becomes very much necessary, and economy will not be self-correcting itself, as has been said by many of the optimist economists. So these are the four factors which are making a kind of a deadly cocktail, and government needs to intervene as early as possible. So that is all about this particular article, guys. I hope that you have got a much insight into the economy related issues, and that this knowledge you will be utilizing. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article has been taken again from the Hindu section. Now the article talks about the draw of space and nuclear technologies. Now guys, into this particular article, it has majorly been provided that what is now the fate of the nuclear technologies. Guys, there are some new developments that had happened that are promoting actually more of a nuclear technologies. Now guys, basically into this particular article, first of all, much and larger reference about the nuclear technologies only has been given. With respect to the space, only just one or two references are there. Now, starting up with this particular article, guys, first of all, we have seen recently the two most important events that has happened. Number one, the billionaire Richard Branson, fine, the owner of the Virgin Galactic, he had made a space flight. After that, Jeff Bezos, he made a space flight, and then guys, the space tourism became an important theme. Now guys, into this particular direction, first of all, the Jeff Bezos, he had said that he is exploring the space avenue, and into the long term he plans that the polluting industries, they will entirely be shifted to the space, and Earth will be kept as a pristine planet. Now this is his one idea. We will see that or how it will be materializing into the future. Then guys, the next development came with the Bill Gates. Bill Gates announced that he is planning to launch his own nuclear reactor and he will be investing heavily into the nuclear technologies. He will explore that how the nuclear reactors can be provided to the developing and less developed countries, so that into less polluting way they can get their electricity generated. Into this particular direction, guys, it has been provided that basically the world billionaires, they are pivoting towards those particular kind of technologies which can make Earth a clean planet. That is a very good thing. Now guys, further, when we talk about the Mr. Gates assertion that the nuclear technology needs to be the force which will be providing the electricity, there are certain issues that come. Number one, guys, that atomic energy was believed as a kind of a future of energy around 2007 and 8, and even the International Atomic Energy Agency, it has established the committee of eminent person to look into the future of nuclear power in 2020 and beyond, and they said that the nuclear power can solve many of the problems. It was said that basically it can satisfy the energy demands, it can mitigate the threat of climate change. Fine. Further, it has been provided that there are further other technologies, other kind of opportunities which are also there, the indirect ones with the nuclear. It can generate huge employment, it can provide impetus to many of the associated technologies, etc. But guys, the things got changed when to 2011, what had happened into the Fukushima, there was the nuclear disaster, nuclear meltdown that happened, and after that the countries, they started to become more and more skeptical towards the nuclear energy. And guys, into this particular capacity, what had happened, many of the countries who had sent an application to the IAEA with respect to getting the nuclear technologies, they had pulled back their applications. There are very few countries which are still standing onto the nuclear power. For example, the countries such as the Russia, China and India. But guys, majority of countries, they are not very much optimistic with respect to the nuclear technologies. Moreover guys, it has been said that nuclear technologies, they might not be polluting immediately. But guys, the mining, the processing of the nuclear raw material, it has a huge carbon footprint, number one. Then number two, it has been provided that the storing of the nuclear waste, it becomes a very much problem. Fine, even if we store it below the ground, there is a fear that it can percolate to the groundwater table, and guys, then again a catastrophe will be unveiled. So the nuclear technology is actually there, use into a conservative manner is a problematic thing. So now the Bill Gates announcement come at a high time, but whether we can be sure that nuclear energy can lead to a sustainable future, it is a debatable thing. So such kind of a debate has been introduced into this particular article. Guys, I hope that you have got it. It is just kind of a idea, a brief idea that you need to keep it into your mind. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, this particular article is talking about the importance of breastfeeding for the mother as well as for the child, and it will be important for our GS paper number 2 under the topic of social justice, the health. Now guys, it has been provided that the UNICEF, it states that breastfeeding is amongst the most effective way to protect both the maternal as well as the child health, and it even promotes the healthy growth of the child. Guys, it has been provided that the infants, they should be breastfed within 1 hour of the birth. They needs to be breastfed exclusively for the first 6 months of their life, and then guys, after the 6 months, for the next 6 months, they needed to be breastfed along with providing them the food in form of the solid, semi-solid and the soft food until they attain the age of 2 years. So guys, the breastfeeding plays a very important role into the infant development. Now guys, this particular thing you all know, and I have said many a times that India is passing through a golden window of demographic dividend, and if we want to reap this demographic dividend, we need that our children, they need to be cognitively sharp. And guys, the cognitive sharpness and the mental abilities, they depend that how the child caring is given, and the first 6 years are very much important. And even out of the first 6 years, the first 2 years, what type of nutrition a child is getting, what type of care he is getting, it makes a lot big deal, and here the breastfeeding becomes again very much important. Then guys, the breastfeeding, it gives the child immunity against the infection, allergies, cancers, obesity, as well as it improves the brain maturation. After that, for the mother also, it is very much important, because number one importance come is that guys, it promotes the faster weight loss after the birth. Then it reduces the postpartum bleeding. It protects her against the breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and osteoporosis. So therefore, mother as well as child, it is very much important. But guys, even after that particular thing, it has been seen that globally just 25 to 40% of the babies are breastfed, and it has been provided that if all the babies are breastfed, then guys, the benefits will be huge. According to the Lancet, it has been provided that $300 billion to the global economy could be added, because guys, every year more than 8,20,000 children are dying. Now these deaths could be prevented by just providing them the breastfeeding. Then further guys, into the India also, recently the National Family Health Survey 5 data was released, and it was found that in as many as 12 out of the 22 surveyed states and union territories, the share of institutional birth has been increased, but the breastfeeding has been declined. So guys, into the India condition is also not very much good. So into this direction, there are some of the reforms that should be taken up in order to promote the breastfeeding. Number one guys, the DMK, it has promised into the manifesto that if they came to the power into the Tamil Nadu, they will provide the 12 months paid maternal leave to the mothers, because guys, for into 12 months they can breastfeed their children properly, because already we have seen that for first 6 months exclusive breastfeeding, and for the next 6 months breastfeeding along with the food is needed. So this is a kind of a good development. After that guys, it has been provided that government needs to invest in counseling and educating the parents with respect to the breastfeeding. Moreover guys, breast milk banks could be established. Then it has been provided that the government needs to provide the lactating mothers with the subsidized breast milk pump equipment, which can help when the mothers are going on to the work. Then it has been provided that exclusive facilities for the breastfeeding needs to be provided to the mothers. So these are some of the things that are needed to be done. Then guys, it has been provided that the husbands are also needed to be included into the government's effort when they are promoting the breastfeeding, because it has been provided that first 15 days after the childbirth, they are very much important, because here the mothers, they get used to the breastfeeding, and therefore the support of the husbands become very much necessary. So guys, into the India, the concept of the paternal leave is not properly developed. There is no legislation which is talking about the pan India paternal leave, though guys, under the central civil services rule, there the paternal leave has been talked about, and guys, the government employees, they are also given the CCL, but guys, the pan India law is not there. So onto that particular direction, it is needed to be worked upon. So guys, at least some 10 to 12 weeks of paternal leave also needs to be provided. Then it has been provided that government need to allocate specific funds to implement the law, to invest into the education of parents and health workers, as well as the civil society organizations are also needed to be enrolled, so that they can spread the awareness with respect to the breastfeeding. So guys, these are all the aspects, and with respect to the early childhood care, these things become very much important. So guys, please do utilize it into your answers. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is talking about the AIQ, that is the All India Quota Reforms into the medical stream, which has been recently announced by the central government. Now guys, all this particular issue right from the 1986 to 2021, we have discussed onto the 30th of July newspaper analysis at this particular timestamp, that is the 5:56. Now guys, there I had clubbed the articles from the Indian Express, the Hindu newspaper, as well as some other background things. So if you have not seen it, please do look it onto 30 July at 5:56. Now guys, apart from this, nothing substantial has been there into this particular article. So just please have a look on it. And if you have seen, then you can just leave it. So that is all about this article. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the India's agenda into the UNSC that it will be taking up. Now guys, what has happened here? For this thing, we need to see a little bit of background. Now, you might be knowing that there is the United Nations Security Council. Now guys, first had happened, India had just in 2020 has been chosen to the non-permanent member seat into the United Nations Security Council. Now guys, there are the 5 permanent members into the United Nations Security Council, and the 10 non-permanent members are there. So India was chosen in 2020 into these non-permanent member category, and for 2 years, that is for 2021 and 2022, India will be continuing its membership into the UNSC into non-permanent category. No, first of all, it is not the first time that India had got selected into the UNSC non-permanent seat. It is rather the 8th time that India got selected. Now guys, what has happened? Now for the month of August, India will even be getting the presidency into the United Nations Security Council, because guys, the presidency is given onto the rotational basis. So now India's turn has come. So what will be the agendas that are India going to take? So here guys, India will be taking the agenda. Number 1, it has been said that India will always be the voice of moderation and advocate of dialogue. So guys, the voice of moderation and advocate of dialogue. Always India has taken the Madhyam Marg into the foreign policy. Never the extremities have been taken by India. So such a moderation will be allowed, number 1. Number 2, the dialogue's importance. Guys, we never talk about the attacks. We never talk about the military invasion. Rather, we say that a dialogue between the different parties needs to be there. So such philosophy India will be taking. Then guys, thirdly, we will be the proponent of the international law. So rule-based order, it will be propagated. And into this particular capacity, guys, it has been said that it hints that India will be taking the issue of the maritime security, as well as also talking about the freedom of navigation into the South China Sea, because we have seen into the South China Sea, freedom of navigation is being threatened by the Chinese unilateralism. So this might be taken by the India. Moreover, it has been provided that right now into the Asia, there are 4 major crises which are going on. First, guys, is into our neighborhood, Afghanistan, where USA pullout is happening. Then, guys, into the Myanmar, you have seen that the military junta is there. So there is the problem. Then into the Yemen and in Syria, some lasting and sustainable solutions are to be brought about. So into this particular capacity, guys, Unite India will be playing a kind of an important role, and might be coming out with such kind of norm and such kind of mechanisms where some sustainable solutions into these things might be brought. However, we need to see. Moreover, guys, the 1 month time, actually, if I tell you, is not that big that substantial dent can be made by the India. So guys, just a kind of a evolutionary development it is. Please keep it into your mind, and it will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relation and related issues, multilateral associations, etc. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now friends, this particular article, it is talking about the integrated theater commands. Now guys, first of all, before going into this article as what has happened, we will see the background information. Now guys, what is the issue? Now we are taking substantial defense reforms. Guys, one of an important defense reforms is the creation of the CDS, that is the Chief of Defense Staff, which will be holding the collaboration between the three wings of our defense forces. Now, there is also the talks that into the India we need an integrated theater command. Now guys, what has happened? The theaterization of war has happened. It has been said that now even the war has become multi-pronged, and guys, into the isolation, the army, the air force as well as the navy, they cannot work. There needs to be a kind of a greater synergy. It has been seen particularly into the war such as the 1971 war that the synergy was not very much effective, though India won the war, but guys, there might be some of the problems. So it has been said that there needs to be an integrated theater commands where the three services will be under a single commander for particular geographical theaters, okay, so that one uniform commander can issue the orders, can mobilize the resources, can mobilize the troops from all the three services, and an effective front, effective offensive as well as a defensive could be given. So guys, we want that into the north there is a possibility that a dual front war could happen, two front war could happen. From one hand there could be Pakistan, on another hand there could be China. So onto the northern theater there needs to be the integrated theater command that should be created. Now guys, into this particular capacity, even the Shaketkar committee of 2015, it recommended that we need to create three integrated theater command. One is for the northern, for the China border, other is for the west, for the Pakistan border, and third into the south for the maritime border. So guys, the integrated command needed to be there. Now guys, this particular proposal is going good. We are moving very well into the direction of the integrated theater command. And what has happened now, the tabletop war gaming exercise has happened between the three wings. Now this tabletop war gaming exercise, it is a kind of a stimulation that if a kind of a war, if a two front war happens ever into the future, how these three wings will be coordinating with each other, and the participation has been there. So guys, this is just development that has happened here. Now you don't need to go into the nitty-gritties of this particular article that what were the details, because this is a kind of an evolutionary aspect. So just that is, now what you need to understand more importantly is the concept of the integrated theater commands. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article pertains to the section number 66A. We have seen few days back that guys still it is being used fine, though in 2015 into the Shreya Singhal case, Supreme Court provided that the section 66A cannot be carried because it was the unconstitutional. But still it is being carried. Not only into the FIR it is being used, but guys into the courts. The courts are also hearing the matter on section 66A. So into this particular capacity guys, just one development has happened. The center has filed an affidavit into the Supreme Court and had said that the state needs to be given a kind of an important responsibility into this particular respect, because the police and the public order, they are the state subjects under the constitution. Moreover, it has been provided that the prevention, detection, investigation and prosecution of crime and the capacity building of the police are the primary responsibility of the state. So therefore the state needs to be nudged, that they needs to take the reform into at their own level, so that the utilization of section 66A comes down. So this is just a kind of one development that has happened. Moreover guys, if you are following our analysis regularly, we have taken a kind of extensive editorials also, that how this section 66A is number one, having a chilling effect onto the freedom of speech and expression, and number two, what could be done. So guys, into the direction we have seen one very good reform, that under what we do right now, there is the CCTNS platform on which the FIRs are registered. So it has been said that when onto the CCTNS electronic platform the FIR has been registered, you need to disable the section 66A clause, so that the FIR cannot be lodged anyhow there. So this is one reform. After that guys, the reforms such as nudging the station house officer, fine if they are utilizing these sections, basically taking up the disciplinary inquiries, these are some of other things also. So that is all about fine, just a kind of a reference that we have taken up here. It has nothing to do with this article, fine, but just for the broader understanding we have taken it up. Anyhow guys, that is all about it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is important for our GS paper number 2, international relation, the events into the neighborhood. Now guys, it pertains to one of an event that has happened into the Myanmar. Now guys, first of all, we have seen into our newspaper analysis also that the army, it has seized power into the Myanmar into the month of February, and the civilian government that was following, that was created into the Myanmar just after the election around the month of February, it has been demolished because the army believes that the elections which were held, into which Aung San Suu Kyi's government was formed, the army says that they were the fraudulent elections, and since then what they had done, they had taken up the power into the Myanmar. It is also being called as a coup that has happened. It has been said that it is nothing but an excuse that has been taken by the military to take over the controls into the Myanmar. Now guys, what has happened? After this particular coup that had happened, the General Ong Hyang, he chaired the State Administration Council, which was created. Now, this State Administration Council, it was a body, and it was leading the affairs into the Myanmar. Now guys, this State Administration Council, it has now been created as the caretaker government. So this SAC has been given the tag of a caretaker government, and the General Min Aung, he had declared himself as the Prime Minister of the Myanmar and the head of this caretaker government. He had said that by 2033 the elections will be held into the Myanmar and the democracy will be restored. However, guys, we need to see that whether such kind of thing will happen or just a kind of an empty assurance is being given. However, majority of the people or the observers onto the Myanmar believes that it is nothing but a strategy to bide some of the time in which even more control over the Myanmar could be held by the army. Moreover, guys, here the general, he had also said that he is also ready, that he will be working with the regional envoy onto the Myanmar. Particularly, guys, when we talk about the ASEAN, under the ASEAN, an envoy has been created which will be looking that whether into the Myanmar there was some fraud which had happened, or just for the sake of power the military junta has held a coup. So now the general had said that with respect to the future envoys also he will be working, he will restore the democracies, and he is the prime minister of the caretaker government. So this is all what has happened here to the Myanmar. So guys, that is all about this particular development, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, just a very evolutionary kind of detail, important for our GS paper number 2, just as a reference we can utilize. Guys, we have seen that with the India and China, huge basically escalation had happened, and now for the de-escalation what has happened, a hotline has been established between the Indian army at the Kongra La into the Sikkim, and between the People's Liberation Army of China at the Khamba Zong into the Tibet Autonomous Region. And the purpose of this particular hotline, it will be to carry on the dialogue between the two countries, the commanders between the two countries, so that if there is any kind of problem that could be resolved into an amicable manner. So that is all what has happened here. So guys, that is all about the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, I believe that you are liking our initiative. Guys, please do spread our initiative. Thank you so much.